For number 1, we know that 100 times 10 becomes 1000. Or the other way around, 10 times 100 is also 1000. So for 2, let's calculate now 300 times 20. So we simply say 3 times 2 is 6. And then we have 100 times 10, which gives 6,000. Other way around, 2 times 3 is 6. And 10 times 100 is 1000. We get 6,000 again. So for 3, 200 times 2 will give 4, then times 1,000 is 4,000. B, we know that this is 6,000. For C, 3 times 3 is 9, times 1,000 is 9,000. And D, we get 8,000. Let's move on to 4. We're going to calculate 325 times 24. The long method, we've broken it up into expanded form, and we always start with the units first. So we're going to multiply 4 by 5, 20, and 300. And then when we're done, we'll move on to the 20. We're going to do timesing by 4 in blue. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 20 is 80. 4 times 300 is 1,200. Now I'm going to move on to timesing through by 20. 20 times 5 is 100. 20 times 20 will give 400. And 20 times 300 will give 6,000. Then all we need to do is add up in our place value columns. 0 there. 2 plus 8 gives 10. Then if we add up our hundreds, 1 plus 2 is 3. Then we have 4, then we have 8. And we have 7 thousands in total. Now we're going to do the exact same thing using the short method, breaking it up into hundreds, tens, and units. So we always start with our units first. 4 times 5 gives us 20. 4 times 2 is 8, plus another 2 is 10. And 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13. So what we've done there is those 3 steps in one step. Let's now move on to timesing by 2 tens. But before we do, I'm just going to erase these marks. Okay, so now I'm going to times through in green. To multiply 325 by 20. So I'm first going to multiply by 10, and so we write down the 0 to show that we've multiplied by 10. Then we multiply through simply by 2. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. And 2 times 3 is 6. Now we need to add up to get our total answer. 0087, and we get the same answer for both. These 3 steps here is what we did in one step there. For 5, let's calculate 30 times 400. So again in steps, 3 times 4 is 12. We times by 10 and by 100, which means that we multiply by 1,000. To give an answer of 12,000. The other way around, we get the same answer of 12,000. Let's look at 6. For A, 2 times 6 is also 12. Times 10 times 100 means times by 1,000. For B, 5 times 3 is 15. We're going to times by 1,000. C, 7 times 3 is 21. Times by 100 and then by 10, so we get 21,000. For D, 9 times 4 is 36, times by 1,000, so we have 36,000. Let's move on to 7. We're going to calculate 532 times 63. So, I'm going to write this out. And there we have 60 plus 3. So I'm going to do the first step, timesing through by 3 in red. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 30 is 90. 3 times 500 gives 1500 or 1500. Now that we're done there, we're going to move on to our 60. 60 times 2 is 120. 60 times 30 is going to give us 18 times by 10 times by 10. And lastly, 60 times 500 is going to give us 30 with 3 more zeros, so it's 30,000. So now we add up. We have 6, in the tens we have 11, then we're going to have 15 in total, then 3, and then 3. So our final answer is yeah. Now let's do the short method. We're going to do the first step in red again. 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 5 is 15. So that was these first 3 steps. Now we move on. We're going to multiply 532 by 60. So we first multiply by 10, then we multiply by 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 1 is 19. 6 times 5 is 30, plus 1 is 31. So now all we need to do is add up. So we get 6, add 11, and we get 15, 3, and 3. And we get the same answer as the long method. These 3 steps here was that one step there.